What's up everyone, it's Caddy with MoneyVest. So in today's video, we're going to break down exactly what to look forward to this upcoming week. Monday is a holiday in the markets, but rest of the week we still have lots of earnings to break down because we are still continuing from that earnings season. Some economic reports, and then also we're going to take a look at the markets overall, and of course go over the technicals and what levels to really be paying attention to very closely going into next week. So hope you all enjoyed this video and find it helpful. If you do, make sure that you drop a like, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining us, and of course getting access to all the members only private videos. There is a 16% annual discount available until the end of February, and I did open up a few more spots if you are interested in joining and getting access to all the trade alerts and buy and sell alerts, options alerts. Everything is going to be included with the link down below. And like I said, we'd love to have you on board as well. So when it comes to the earnings season, so like I said, Monday is a holiday, but Tuesday we do have a pretty big retail week because Walmart, Home Depot, we got Medtronic, Barclays, they're all reporting pre-market. And then we also do have Palo Alto Networks, Solar Edge, Realty Income Corp, Teladoc, all these super important earnings, especially Realty Income, as I do have a position in that stock and that company. And then of course Palo Alto Network, because it's a part of our cyber ETF, CIBR ETF. And all in all, I think cybersecurity in general is one of the sectors, one of the themes that I'm very much excited about over the long term as well. Now, when it comes to Wednesday, before market opens, we got Veritiv, we got Analog Devices, we got Wix, and we got HSBC also reporting. And then after the markets close, we've got the most important stock, the most trending, the hottest company right now in the market, NVIDIA, reporting their earnings after the bell. Along with Rivian, we got Etsy, we got Lucid, we got Marathon Oil, we got Suncor. Moderna's reporting pre-market on Thursday, along with Nikola, Fiverr, Wayfair, and then Square, in other words, Block, reporting after the bell on Thursday. We got Carvana, Mercado Libre, NU, and Booking Holdings, Intuit. Intuit's also a very interesting software as a service stock that has 4 or 5 different very well-known, very popular applications. And then Friday before the market opens, we got Warner Brothers, and that's pretty much going to wrap up the earnings week here for the companies that I'm particularly interested in. The main ones, the very important ones, are going to be Walmart, Home Depot, we got Palo Alto, Realty Income, Teladoc to some extent, of course, NVIDIA, Etsy, we got Lucid to some extent, maybe a little bit, and then of course we got Block, we got Intuit, we got Fiverr, Moderna, super important companies, and that's pretty much going to be the ones that I'm particularly interested in. If there's any companies that you want to see coverage for, or if you want us to go over that in a live stream, comment down below and we'll make sure to cover that at some point next week as well. Now, when it comes to the economic calendar, we do have, of course, jobless claims that come out every Thursday. We do also have a few Fed members talking, along with the FOMC minutes coming out on Wednesday, February 21st. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern. Super important, and what was discussed in the previous meeting, because as we already know, the Federal Reserve is almost all the FOMC members. There's a bit of a unanimous decision that rate cuts are coming. The timing of those rate cuts is a little bit uncertain, and the amount of rate cuts is also uncertain, meaning that we don't know when the rate cuts will begin and how many rate cuts are we going to see in 2024. So those are two very important questions that investors have that we don't have the answers to right now, and FOMC minutes are always important because it gives us a little bit of a transcript on what was discussed. And as I said earlier, the markets are starting to reprice a little bit of those expectations. We've gone from 6-7 rate cuts down to 4 or 5 rate cuts. At some point, we were down to even 3 in 2024. But the bottom line is, if this inflation continues to be a bit of a problem, it continues to stay up there or stay elevated for a little bit longer, and the Federal Reserve kind of sees the economy be super strong, unemployment's really low, then in that case, I think it's very normal and reasonable for us to expect the Federal Reserve to delay the rate cuts and maybe even cut down on the amount of rate cuts that we see in 2024. But of course, time will tell, and a lot of that depends on where inflation ends up going. Now, coming over to the markets, volatility has been, again, a little bit more muted. We did see a bit of a spike after the inflation numbers from last week. The volatility spiked to over 18 and then dropped right back down as the markets recovered throughout the course of the week here. And resistance is going to be at 14.97, closer to 15. As we've already discussed, down to this red rectangle between 11 and 12. So red rectangle, a very important level, critical area to watch. And of course, inside this green rectangle, 18 to 20, also a really important level to keep in mind, all the way up to 36 to as much as 40 for volatility as well. And like I said, the higher, the better. The VIX is high, it is time to buy. And if the VIX is low, it's not necessarily the time to go for investors. For traders, yes, it may be the time to go and start looking at hedging opportunities or start looking at shorting opportunities where the risk reward is really good. But for investors, if the VIX is low, it's time to maybe de-risk, sell calls, hedge, do what makes best sense for your portfolio, but it doesn't necessarily mean that sell into your entire portfolio because the markets are going to crash. None of that, because markets can continue to drift higher and higher as volatility continues to stay lower and lower. And that's one of the things that I've tried to kind of explain, because it's constantly an analysis of risk and reward. We're not here to make predictions. We're here to assess how good the risk reward is in the markets, how good the valuations are, how good the technicals are. And every day our job is to assess that very thing and then come to a conclusion, come to a decision that whether it makes sense to buy, sell, hold, hedge, de-risk, sell options, buy options, do these various strategies to kind of optimize our portfolio in the given the situation that we're in. Now going over to the markets itself, so S&P 500 of course had a decent week. It was a red week, so after a long 3 to 4 weeks of green, we finally did witness a little bit of red. So if you come over to the weekly chart, you'll notice that since January, since the beginning of this year, we have seen 4 to 5 consistent weeks of green. Finally, last week was a little bit red, down 42 basis points, and we are overbought, overextended on the weekly time frame. And this, I feel like, is what many people are having a hard time kind of understanding. And many people, especially beginner investors, continue to believe that the markets have more room and they're going to keep rallying. They're going to keep hitting new all-time highs. We're going to keep pushing higher, which could be the case. But how likely is that, right? That's the real question. Anything is possible in the market, right? So it really just comes down to possibility versus probability. And that is the main thesis of our analysis. So if I asked you, like, can the markets go to 10,000? S&P 500, can it go to 5 to 10,000? You'll be like, yeah, it could. There is a possibility that it could go to 10,000. Now, can the markets go to zero? From S&P 5,000 down to zero? Can the markets do that? You'd be like, sure, they could, right? There's a possibility that they could. So in the realm of possibilities of what markets could do, what individual stocks could do, anything is possible. Now, if I rephrase my question and then I ask you how probable you think it is for S&P to go down to zero, from 5,000 to zero, now you'll start thinking, okay, what's the probability of that happening? And now you'd be like, okay, maybe it's not that high, right? The probability of that happening is really, really low. And the probability of S&P going up to 10,000 is somewhat decent, but over time, right? If I ask you, okay, what is the probability of S&P going to 10,000 in the next 2 months? You'd be like, yeah, very, very close to 0%. It's just not going to happen, right? So it's not going to double in 2 months, right? It's a possibility, but the probability is really low. So our question always going to be rephrased, okay, what is the probability of that happening? And I think a lot of the disconnect among investors sometimes is when I say that, okay, the risk reward's not that good, we're overbought, overextended. Can the markets keep rallying higher? Yeah, sure, they can. There's a possibility that they keep going higher, but what is the probability of seeing that upside potential versus the potential downside risk that we carry? And risk always comes first, right? That's why it's called risk and reward, not reward and risk, because risk always comes first. So with that in mind, again, we're overbought, overextended, so I'd be very cautious here, obviously, and resistance is going to stay put at 5,045, with, of course, the NASDAQ here also continues to move higher and pushes up. Resistance and target is going to be up to 16,200. Again, overbought on the RSI, overbought on the MACD, a little bit overstretched and extended to the upside. Support level is going to stay put inside this green rectangles between 15.4 down to 14.6, all the way down to 13.8 as well for the market. So hope you all enjoy this video. And again, we've got a pretty decent week lined up with lots of earnings, most importantly NVIDIA earnings, along with FOMC minutes coming out on Wednesday. That's going to be at 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Make sure that you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Again, links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining us, and of course getting access to all the members only benefits, including trade alerts and of course a lot of other tutorials and private videos as well. And let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and what are you expecting in the upcoming week from the markets. So always happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.